Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Hogs Media Podcast. We are back at the conclusion of the baseball regular season. The Hogs finished 43 and 12, 33 and 3 at home, and 7 and 8 away, and then on a neutral site 3 and 1. How do you feel about those final records?
Yeah, I mean it's one heck of a season. Great season. Obviously, a couple of those away losses, 7 and 8. Getting a couple regular season championship. We were only 2 games away. If we picked up one extra win against Kentucky, maybe picked up one at Alabama, instead of, losing the series there, or pick up an additional one at A&M. Would have been nice, would have been cool, but finished third in the SEC overall, but we got the 2 seed because we're number one in the West. So yeah, I mean, super proud. I mean, great season. Again, seasons are remembered. So, just continue it on. I heard in an interview today with Dave Van Horn on the SEC Network down there in Hoover, they were talking to him, and they said, "Hey, we've noticed that Hagen Smith rarely pitches more than 5 or 6 innings," and they're like, "He's only had one game where he went to 7." Um, they're like, "What's the deal with that?" He's like, "Well, we told him we're saving those pitches for the postseason. We're saving those pitches for May and June." So hopefully that works out. Hopefully, Hagen Smith, having not pitched super long games all year, means that here in the postseason he's
Fully ready.
top starting pitcher out there and can push us through the postseason. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if he'll start this week. Dave Van Horn released today. We're going to start Ben Bybee tomorrow. South Carolina beat Alabama in the 7-10 game, so we will play South Carolina tomorrow afternoon. I'm going to be honest. I don't really care if we win the SC tournament. I'm not like a diehard Hoover fan. Like, we need to win this. I just want to see us hit good. I think everybody shares that same sentiment. Like, I just want to hit good and have solid pitching and no one get hurt. Those are my goals for the week.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah. I mean, I personally, I always love getting a conference tournament championship. Just in any sport, if we could just do it once, like, it would be great. Uh but yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not hanging my hat, or hanging my judgment of this season based on what happens in Hoover. Like, oh, if we get to Omaha, obviously, then it's like, yeah, we did what we needed to do, and then from there, obviously, it's hard, hard winning a World Series. It's hard winning it all in any sport, anytime. There's every bit as much luck that has to play in with skill, and preparation. And there's just moments, right, when you're in the Final Four,
Yeah.
where it's just you got to get hot at the right time. You got to make sure that you know you get fresh, you get legs, you get batters against the right pitchers the right way, and your left pitchers against the right batters the right way. It's just kind of once you get there. But I'm kind of with you. I probably lean a little bit more towards I want to see us at least make it to the championship game in Hoover. Because I feel like that can be a momentum getter. Even if you lose in the championship, it's still like, okay, cool, we won multiple rounds in postseason play, got out some jitters, got out some of those, coming off of 2 losses at A&M. That was, the last one we got run ruled. So it's kind of like,
Yeah. I agree. I think that's a good way to look at it for this week. So to kind of summarize the stats for this year, I looked up our stats because we usually don't have them out. So we talked a lot last time about our struggles hitting wise. We just highlighted it what we want to see. So our team average for the year was 269. Not great, not terrible though. Not anything to like be highly disappointed with, just not as high as we want. Highest batting average was Peyton Stovall, 339. Highest home runs was Aloy, 13. RBIs Aloy, 54. walks, surprisingly. Can you guess who had the most walks? I don't think you're gonna guess. It surprised me.
Holt? I don't know.
No, it's Kendall Diggs.
Oh,
Kendall Diggs
okay.
had 31 walks. And then OBP was Ben McLaughlin, actually, 452. And then slugging was Stovall, 548. And that covers basically our hitting. And then pitching wise, I'm sure this is going to surprise a lot of people. Hagen pretty much sweeps everything. I mean, he went 9-0, so he led us in wins, 150 strikeouts, a 1.52 ERA, and then Gabe Gackle had 7 saves to lead the team, and our team ERA was 3.59, fielding percentage 982. All great things from that side of it, that aspect.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
there
I mean, I don't think
anything
there's
you would like to see different from that?
I mean, from a defensive perspective, I mean, I don't know if you have the rankings in front of you, but I would say as an overall def, we're for sure top five. Just pitching, fielding, obviously a lot of those hits, a lot of that is on pitching, but a lot of that's also on great fielding, and getting, great catches and throwing people out and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm super proud of our defense, and that should carry us a good little ways, as long as we can just do some decent batting. Year, glad that he got those honors, um, and yeah, let's keep it rolling.
Yeah, exactly. Let's just keep the momentum going. We know how to win. Just, I don't, I think we're projected to get number 5 national seed. Not terrible, not great. I don't know if we can move up or down this week. I don't know. Maybe if we win, or maybe even we make it to the championship, like you said, might move up to
Yeah,
3 or 4 with all those top teams in our league. Just don't know how much they're going to measure the SEC
we
tournament.
have to. Yeah, I mean, right off the bat, we know we're gonna have to play South Carolina. They are a top 20. That's at one point in the season, at least they were ranked in the top 20. I don't know where they
Yeah,
ended. Um, we'll have to work our way through um, Kentucky, and potentially up through like a Georgia or an LSU or a Texas A&M. So yeah, actually, anyway, um, so yeah, I mean, get a couple more good teams on the resume, and if we're beating one of those teams that's ahead of us, like Kentucky or A&M or Tennessee, then I don't see why we can't move up to a 4 seed.
yeah. Here's a question for you. So we start Bybee tomorrow. Say we win. Who would you like to see pitch Thursday? Do you want to see Hagen at all, or would you rather see another guy, maybe a Molina or Tiger, show what they can do, maybe be refreshed?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I would probably for the next game go with Tiger. Um, and then I would probably bring in Smith the game after that.
Yeah,
Um, and then go to like because then if Hagen Smith wins in what would be our third game, then I think there would only be 2 more games left to win to like win it all. And so that gets Hagen Smith enough days of rest
yeah,
for what series starts, but it also puts him deep enough in the SEC tournament to like make it worth it and get us through a challenging team. And winning our third game, I think is a good spot to put him to keep him fresh, but also like that's still going to be a big enough, important enough game to like propel us into the potentially the final match if
yeah.
we get there.
So, I mean, we obviously just talked about the importance of Hagen. Do you think there's an X factor in the pitching staff besides Hagen that you're paying attention to?
I mean, I if we can get Molina back to his best. He ended up not getting a start at A&M. Right? Like he
Yeah, he came in relief. Yeah,
yeah, he came in relief, but he was starting on Sundays a lot earlier in the year. Um So I think he could be an X factor if we get him like at top form. I think McIntyre, you and I were texting offline about this. Like when it's when we have the game and like he comes in and he's great, but when it's a tight game and it's on the line and it's 0-0 or it's a 1 point lead either way, like he doesn't handle it super well. And so I feel like that could also be an X factor. Is like, when do we put him in? Do we have him in a game that's a tight one, or can we, use him in a game where, not that it's like a give me, but if we're up three, and he can like finish out 2 innings, and keep a 3 point lead or something like that, then and that piece as well. What about you? Who do you think?
I agree with you. I was gonna say Will McIntyre. I know, like you said, we talked about it the other night when he struggled and walked in the winning run. It's just, can we trust him in those big moments? The past couple of years, he's proven like he can be decent, like you said, solid. But if it's a one-run game, can we trust him to get 3 outs? Or do we don't want to have Gackle throw more than 3 innings, if that. So you
Mhm.
got to have that middle guy, that setup guy. And I know we have Fouch, but I know Van Horn's going to want to go to Will McIntyre. So can we get 2 to 3 innings out of Will McIntyre and then progress to where we want to go to Gackle or something? So yeah, Will McIntyre, Gackle's solid. Yeah, I agree with you with Molina too. I'll add, to be different, I'll be Tiger. I think Brady knows how to be clutch. He was a closer to start his career. He knows how to pitch in clutch moments, big moments, close games. And I don't know if we need to switch him to that. We tried Molina and he was effective in a relief situation. Do we try that with Tiger and go back? I don't know. But I would like to see him throw well this week. That's what I would like to see from Brady. He's been there before. I think he's an X factor as well, along with those other guys as well.
Yeah.
So switching over hitting wise, do you have an X factor? Or is there a guy in the lineup you want to see just look good this week heading into the tournament?
I mean, I don't know if this would count as an X factor because he's our leading home run guy on the year, but I feel like make or break around Aloy.
Yeah.
Like when he's on, he's every time he gets up to bat, right? Like he's sending people to home base, or he's hitting singles and doubles. Um, but he can be that like X factor. Um, I curious to see just how our guys that are batting at like 6, 7, and 8 do. Um, because like the top are above 300, so they're doing their job, and so we're really like seeing that drop off after like Aloy, after like the fourth batter, fifth batter, and so I really want to see like those guys just get on base more, like get some good singles, maybe a double, and just hold on long enough to get back to the top of the pitching order, the batting order, so that we can send a few of those guys home. Like we can't rely on home runs. We have to like keep those bases like stocked and
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be key for us to have timely hitting. We can't rely on home runs. I think we try to do that every year and it just doesn't work out. Especially this year, we don't have the power. We just don't. We had one guy over double-digit home runs. That was Aloy. We didn't have another guy over 10. So that's just not our strong suit this year. So it's going to have to be, like you said, getting guys on base and then moving them over. I think we're going to have to play small ball. We're going to have to bunt. We're going to have to steal bases. We're going to have to do the little things to get guys going. Like I agree with you. The 6, 7, 8 is going to be huge for us. I agree. If we can't move
yeah,
them over, it's not going to be good.
yeah. I'm excited. I'm glad that we got South Carolina in our first draw. Um, I just feel like from a confidence perspective, I know record wise, like Alabama ended up worse than South Carolina somehow. But you know, I feel like just confidence wise, and it was the first series that we lost all year, and it kind of like bumped us out of number one, and we never quite fully got back, and that kind of started our stretch against top 10 teams. But where I feel like coming in against South Carolina, it's like, okay, we took it to these guys, like they're good, but we beat them. We won the series. We took it to them, and so I like that we're getting them as the rematch instead of Alabama, personally. But I don't know.
I I'm right there with you. I would rather play South Carolina than Alabama. I think we played pretty well against South Carolina. We did against Alabama, but I think we were just better as a team against South Carolina, honestly.
Mm,
I think
yeah,
that, I mean, do you have any other thoughts about baseball before we switch over?
nothing now. I'm excited. I mean,
Yeah.
this is one of the most exciting teams we've had, and I mean, we've had a lot of exciting teams over the last 5 years, but like this feels reminiscent of that 2018 team. Like it's we're right there, and I really, really feel like a game, and I feel really excited about that.
I'm excited as well. Moving on from baseball, softball, disappointing into the season. We were 12 seed, hosted a regional, get knocked out Saturday. We barely survived our first game against Southeast Missouri and then get destroyed by Arizona. And then Villanova kicks our butts. I think it was like 7-2. So just
Yeah,
rough.
watch the game, but I did see that they were able to host and couldn't get out of there, and yeah, I mean postseason's tough. Everyone comes out bringing their A game, and if you're off, you're gonna get your butts handed to you. So good job to the girls on a great season, but yes, sad that it ended sooner than we hoped, for sure.
When it gets to the postseason in baseball or softball, it's so hit or miss. I know we just kind of summarized baseball. Same thing with softball. If your pitching's not there or your bats just die, like you're not gonna win.
Mhm.
Like you said earlier, you have to get hot at the right time. You have to have the right matchups. All sorts of stuff have to go right for you. And if they don't, you can be boom boom, and then you're out. You're eliminated. So
Yeah,
there's just has to be so many elements that go your way when it comes to the postseason.
yeah,
Oh yeah, disappointing ending to the season for
yeah,
softball for sure.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, we're kind of coming to that. Well, many would say we've already hit the lull, but
yeah.
for people who enjoy watching the baseball and softball, some of the ancillary sports just finished up as well. Golf, tennis.
Mhm.
Um, we didn't really go very far in either of those. We had some good players, but didn't didn't make a big splash in the championships. Um, but yeah, kind of start more weeks of fun baseball to watch, and then summertime.
Yeah, I know we're about to hit that worst part of the year when there's no Razorback sports. It's
That's
just
right.
waiting
Sad,
for football season.
sad and depressing.
It is. It's just waiting. And luckily, I mean, we have basketball. We're still getting players. I think we have 8 on the roster, or not even that.
We're at 7.
Yeah,
We currently, according to 24/7 Sports, we have the number 3 between transfers and freshmen combined. Duke's number 1. Is it Alabama at number 2?
I believe so. I'm
I
not
think
for
it's
sure,
Alabama at number
but I believe
2.
so.
And then we're at number 3. We have what many are calling the number 1 transfer class, and then like the number 4, number 5 freshman class, and so those two things combined gives us number 3 overall. So Cal doing his thing, carrying it over to Arkansas. Um, there that there's been some buzz about. Um, I can't remember the names right now, but let's just keep our eyes out for that. There's a lot of hoops that you have to jump through to get an international player, because if they've been playing in Europe, technically they might be considered a professional. Just the way the system works in Europe, there's not really like a collegiate system that's super strong there. So you kind of go from like high school into kind of this like amateur, um, almost like a minor league type of situation in Europe. And so the NCAA can be a little fickle about that. And then as well with grades and uh, test scores and academics and all of that, the NCAA can be a little squirrely there as well, because a lot of these guys, they don't necessarily have the same academic requirements in Europe, you know, that you might have to make an NCAA team. So it might not work out, but I do know that there are two really, really good European players, both projected to be top like 15 draft picks
Mhm.
next year in 2025. And Cal is that would be really cool, just to continue to build the roster with studs. And again, I still think we need like just a true point guard. Not a guy that's wants the ball in his hand, but's a scorer, not a guy that is just a dribbler or whatever, but actually a true facilitator, true point guard. We need that, and then probably like another power forward, of some sort. Adu Fierro can an inside outside guy, someone that can run the baseline, someone that can go get really good powerful rebounds, a good defender, occasionally knock down the shot to keep the defense honest, a cutter, just yeah, a 6'8", 6'7", 6'8", just like man's man, is always, having one more of those always goes super far, especially in the SEC, where size matters, and the more size you can have, the better.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Things to
yeah, and I
look
think
at
if
for.
we get those two, I believe Cal that he's probably going to cap the roster at 9. And then when they're running full team practice, he's just going to have some grad assistants jump in at the remaining spot or two.
That is wild, but makes sense. I mean, it's Cal. Can't say
Yeah,
anything. That's the
well,
wildest thing I've ever heard.
it makes me. I mean, from a recruiting perspective, it's kind of cool.
Mm,
Like makes sense. It's like, hey, look, we're only gonna have 9 guys, which is like normally how you know,
yeah.
usually at least 7 or 8 guys get at least 12, 15 minutes of playing time a game. And so if you say like, hey, we only have 9 players, then every player feels like, cool, I'm gonna eat, like I'm gonna get my minutes. The only thing is like there's like zero injury prevent or contingencies, right? So if one guy goes down, it's like, shoot, now you're walking in with a roster of 7, and it's like, guys need to take some windbreaks once in a while, or running a 7 or 8 man roster. It's like one guy fouls out or two, and like you're screwed. And so that's the only reason that I'm like, I would still love to have 13. I would love to have 11. Just that way and those last 3 guys that you recruit, maybe they just know like, hey, you're not coming here to like find your way into the NBA. You're coming here to be a role player, a team player, a limited minutes, a backup plan. And, there's probably some guys from super small schools like, hey, good. I just want to finish my education and I want to be able to like be a part of a team that plays in front of 20,000 people every night. And, I think you can maybe still find those guys.
Yeah, I agree for sure.
A Denaje Harris type.
Sir, he's going back home to Southern Miss, actually. I saw his commitment announcement the other day, so good for him. But yeah,
Yeah,
think those kind of guys, maybe they have 2 years eligibility, one maybe, and just want to the SEC experience at the top level. So
yeah.
I think that's all we got for Hog Sports wise right now.
That's it. Let's go. Let's go, Omahogs.
Yes. Let's go Omahogs. Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate the support.